You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Netroots Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for the week of February 27th, 2026. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where we've been reporting on the state of our union every week for 16 years. It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal. And a big shout out today to youngest child who is celebrating their birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Love you, kiddo.
To youngest child who's no longer a kiddo, actually, but will always be a kiddo.
Always be a kiddo. Love you to pieces. We know you don't listen to this, so I can say anything I want.
You can get all mushy. Youngest child is 22 today.
Yes, 22. Lucky
and
22.
I've had a conversation with a couple of people today about whether they would want to be 22 again. Love to hear from you guys in comments wherever you are.
Or what do you think of birthdays that are the multiple of 2 prime numbers? Really? I mean, is that a good thing? Bad thing? Is that a thing? I don't know.
Your nerd is showing, Driftglass.
I know. Is 2 really a prime number? Truly a prime number? I mean,
really, is it?
The debate goes on.
Yeah. Anyway, the state of our union is sound. Our union, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be willing to be 22 again if I could keep all of the knowledge that I've gained in the 62 years that I've been on this earth.
Yeah. Okay. If I had to be 22 as I was 22,
no.
No. The world is a much more dangerous place than it was, and I was a reckless youth at that time. So I was coming out of it. I was getting full-time job with more responsibility. I was getting into programming. I was starting to wear a tie, starting to see actual numbers on my paycheck that paid for things. Suddenly, capitalism looked pretty darn good to this kid.
Yeah, well, it's nice when you realize as a young person you have a little money in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, that's when I said to myself, this Ayn Rand person has got it going on, baby.
Oh, Lord. We're not going to tell the Ayn Rand story today, but in previous February episodes, if you go back year from one year to the next, you will find that on this week, when we're talking about youngest child's birthday, the name Ayn Rand and unpublished memoir, unpublished essays, formerly unpublished essays, I guess. It comes up.
It comes up. It's a running joke is what it is.
It's a running joke. So feel free to go through our archives for that.
I got to say, being a Mensa level idiot, if I can put it that way, in my younger days, soaking up garbage like that and then figuring out that, this is terrible, did prepare me pretty well for understanding what was going on the right. I mean, I can see this coming. I know what their ideology is. I know why they do what they do, a lot of them. I know why libertarianism is bullshit.
Yeah.
I know when they're quoting shit, when they're citing stuff, I know what they're talking about. So
Sure. Being a Mensa level idiot is kind of...
yeah, I think that sums it up.
I appreciate that. So, Driftglass, Tuesday, apparently we as a nation and you as an individual back in our bedroom endured a 2-hour freak show by the worst president in history. I did not watch it. I sat and watched British murder shows in the living room with my knitting and finished a sock.
Yeah.
But apparently the worst president in history was cheered on by a howling mob of his enablers. He was.
And I did this for work.
He did.
I had to get prepped, and so I wouldn't sound like an idiot when I went on the Bradcast. Hello, Brad, and Desi and Digby, and went on the Bob Cesca show. And they're both delightful venues, and I feel very well hosted and very welcomed in those places.
And we will link to both of those episodes in our show notes so that you guys can go back and listen. I did get, I work 8-hour days, so I've only had a time to listen to part of the Cesca so far.
Yeah,
but I definitely want to get to Brad and hear what Digby had to say.
Digby
of course.
Digby's awesome as usual.
So we will link to both of those episodes so that you guys get your full dose of Driftglass for the week and then some.
And that's why we weren't on on Tuesday.
Yeah,
I was watching that garbage.
Too much prep going on for these other two shows. Yeah.
It hurt my heart. And we did hear from a few of you going, where are you? And
where are you?
We appreciate
Is everything
being
okay?
missed.
Yeah.
We're okay.
We're fine. Always listen to the end of the last episode to see if we have plans to be taking some time off. Because
yes,
usually it's in service to more podcasting.
Well, yeah. And in this case, there is a lot to say about this speech and the response to the speech, which we're pretty sure by this time you're all pretty sick of hearing about.
So while we will be discussing the State of the Union address, we will also, in the tradition of No Fair Remembering stuff, be exploring the broader theme of memory.
Yes.
What will live in our memories about this travesty a week from now, or a month from now, or a year from now, or maybe even this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. And the answer is probably very little. Over a few days or weeks or months, probably nothing beyond a general feeling that it was sickening and embarrassing, which it certainly was, because these sorts of things aren't designed to be memorable. It's designed to be a ritual of democracy, which has become an empty ritual of democracy, which most people are sort of kind of aware of, like Flag Day or Lunar New Year or Daylight Savings Time, which is coming up pretty soon. The general reaction to State of the Union addresses has traditionally been, oh, right, that's coming up soon, isn't it? Pretty soon? Or, oh, right, I totally forgot. Yeah, what happened? And that's it.
Even if you pay attention to politics and the media like we know you do, yes. If you remember anything at all about, past states of the union, anything in detail, it's probably something that was weird or offensive or odd about it. Back when we live blogged these things, we had all kinds of fun with Bush hitting on switchgrass so hard as an alternative energy source. Also, Mars, bitches. That was really, really big.
That was very big. That was a thing we said to each other over the internet for years.
All the time.
Yep.
You may remember Joe Wilson interrupting a speech by President Barack Obama to a joint session of Congress shouting, "You lie," in September of 2009. Because it was so shocking. It was a headline news everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
This just wasn't the way we did things in America. And of course, Joe Wilson fundraised off it the very next morning.
Yeah. But that's the reason we remember it, though, the shock of it. You might remember MAGA howler monkeys like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert heckling President Joe Biden throughout his 2022 State of the Union address. Now, by then, people had come to expect Republicans to behave like internet trolls because, let's face it, to a large extent, Republicans are internet trolls. And we'll bet that you remember that Marjorie Taylor Greene was at it again during Biden's 2024 State of the Union, where Joe Biden managed to levitate the entire Republican Party out of their seats.
He did.
Which is genius, just genius. Getting them all to swear out loud that they would defend Social Security and Medicare to the death. Even Sarah Longwell, my God, was impressed. Biden, according to her, was, quote, on his game and, quote, he nailed it.
Because what gets remembered is not the speech. It's the anomalies, the things that are shocking, things that stand out like a turd in a punch bowl. But what stands out when, as in the case of Trump's State of the Union this past Tuesday, it's all turd and no punch bowl. Ew.
Ew, indeed.
When it's all just a barrage of ridiculous lies, wild promises, openly racist garbage, blood-soaked rhetoric. Driftglass came back from the bedroom and just went, so much blood. I went,
yeah. It's obscene.
And shrieking. Democrats are to blame for everything. When the whole speech is weird and lurid and monstrous, then nothing stands out. In fact, this wasn't really an American State of the Union at all. It drew on a much older, darker tradition. This was something out of the gladiatorial culture of imperial Rome. If you've listened to the Bob Cesca show, you'll know that that's a familiar line. If you were paying attention, you may have noticed how Trump spoke, how he slowed down and reveled in vivid, gory imagery of blood and violence. All the medals he threw around like Mardi Gras beads told the audience that martial virtue was his idea of the highest civic ideal. He invoked slaughter, vengeance, and battlefield glory.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? this not why you were here?
Here are just a few of the hundreds of examples of what we're talking about from Roman history. There was Cicero in Against Catiline, 63 BCE, describing Rome as surrounded by daggers and arson, conspirators poised to butcher senators in their beds. He argued that Catiline should have already been executed, framing political extermination as patriotic duty.
And then there was Cato the Elder, who famously ended all of his speeches with Carthago delende est, which I'm sure is hurting the ears of people who actually speak Latin, but it means Carthage must be destroyed. Note that. It's not weakened or negotiated with. It must be completely destroyed. And the repetition of that turned annihilation into just a slogan the people repeated.
In the funeral oration for Julius Caesar, 44 BCE, Mark Antony displayed Caesar's stab wounds to the crowd, naming the conspirators and calling the gashes poor, poor dumb mouths that beg the voice and utterance of my tongue. He weaponized actual blood as rhetoric.
Yeah, the world Trump described is one where there are only victims and monsters who are trying to kill you. A world where Joe Biden personally let those monsters into the country because, Democrats hate America, and the only one who can save you from the monsters is Donald Trump. It was, in effect, a 2-hour Willie Horton ad aimed at keeping the 38% of those who are still loyal to the dear leader on side.
Traditionally, the only thing even less memorable than the State of the Union speeches are the responses to the States of the Union by the opposition party. So if you remember the Republican responses to Democratic States of the Union at all, it's probably only because they embarrassed themselves enough to be memorable. Who can forget Marco Little Bottle of Water Rubio in 2013?
Yes. And I'm sure you might recall Bobby Jindal. God, haven't heard that name in 1,000 years. Unintentionally delivering a dead-on imitation of Jack McBriar's Kenneth the NBC Page from 30 Rock in 2009.
And the devastating send-up of Katie Britt's 2024 performance by Scarlett Johansson on SNL.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of serving the great people of Alabama. But tonight, I'll be auditioning for the part of Scary Mom. And I'll be performing an original monologue called This Country is Hell. You see, I'm not just a senator. I'm a wife, a mother, and the craziest bitch in the Target parking lot. I'm worried about the future of our children, and this is why I've invited you into this strange, empty kitchen. Because Republicans wanted me to appeal to women voters, and women love kitchen.
But even if you're drawing a blank on all of that, if you are of a certain age, there's a good chance you'd remember at least some of the speechifying that followed Barack Obama's 2011 State of the Union. And it wasn't because of Paul Ryan's official rebuttal. Remember zombie-eyed granny starver Paul Ryan? And that's a hat tip to Brother Charlie Pierce, who coined that phrase. We would wager that not 1 in 100 political nerds out there can remember a single word of Paul Ryan's official GOP rebuttal beyond a general and very correct impression that while Ryan acknowledged that Obama had walked into a, quote, severe fiscal and economic situation, unquote, the balance of his speech was spent scolding Obama for not dealing with the worst economic catastrophe in 74 years using the only tools in the Republican bag, massive budget cuts, plus a strong suggestion that taxes were just too darn high. It was weak and dull and forgettable. And honestly, the only reason I remember it at all is that economic situation was the name I DJ'd under during the late 1980s.
Oh, man. However, we'd also wager that a whole lot of you do remember at least part of Michele Crazy Eyes Bachmann staring past the camera for 6 straight minutes while delivering some batshit Tea Party nonsense in her aggressively cheerful robot Jesus voice, because that was an anomaly. That was something new. This is from The Guardian, January 26, 2011. Quote, Michele Bachmann's State of the Union response reveals state of U.S. right. Tea Party leader made surprise intervention after official Republican reaction to Barack Obama's address. A televised attack on Barack Obama's State of the Union address by one of the Tea Party's leading lights broke with convention last night and showed just how fractured right-wing opposition has become in the U.S. Michele Bachmann, leader of the right-wing movement and a congresswoman from Minnesota, made a surprise intervention after the official Republican response to Obama's second State of the Union speech from Congressman Paul Ryan of Wisconsin. Bachmann attacked a bureaucracy that now tells us which light bulbs to buy and used a graph to illustrate that while there had been unacceptably high deficits under the Bush administration, these had now exploded. She followed a call for a new miracle with a reference to the U.S.'s 1945 victory at Iwo Jima and the famous picture of soldiers raising the U.S. flag, which she said symbolized all of America coming together to beat back a totalitarian aggressor.
So who's the totalitarian aggressor in this picture, Blue Gal?
Yeah, and what exactly does the Tea Party want to do to that aggressor?
Yeah.
This is, again, more violent, racist rhetoric. Bachmann, who is seen as a possible presidential contender in 2012, how'd that work out? Said she was not seeking to compete with official Republican remarks. Her response was made for activists from the Tea Party Express, but screened live by CNN. But her approach differed from the more conciliatory remarks made by Ryan. Bachmann was already under fire for her views on U.S. history.
Yeah.
Particularly as revealed at a recent Tea Party event in Iowa, when she said the Founding Fathers worked tirelessly to abolish slavery.
You all remember that, right? Everyone remembers that.
Yeah. Fact check. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Republicans had insisted before Obama's address that they were not worried by a Tea Party view getting airtime. Michael Steele, spokesman for the House of Representatives Republican Speaker John Boehner, had said in an email, whether it is through a press release, Twitter, the internet, on television, radio, via Facebook, or by other means, virtually every member of Congress will share their thoughts on the president's State of the Union. They aren't going to get 6 minutes of uninterrupted airtime on CNN, though.
No.
Not everyone was understanding, however. Columnist Jonathan Capehart in the Washington Post said, Bachmann ignored the fiscal calamity that began on September 15th, 2008. She ended her speech, delivered distractingly while looking off camera, by saying, "We the people." Yeah, we the people want to know what that response was all about. Unquote.
Yeah, you may remember that Barack Obama wasn't sworn into office until January of 2009. That plays a really important part in the upcoming thing because we want to underscore just the last two paragraphs of that article, because what we were seeing and what many of us were warning about was MAGA republicanism in its adolescent state. By this point, it was already fully nuts and drunk on absurd conspiracy theories. And when Jonathan Capehart said that Bachmann ignored the fiscal calamity that began on September 15, 2008, that was not the half of it. Bachmann didn't just ignore the Great Recession. She pretended it never happened. During her speech, which is available on YouTube if you want to go look at it, although God knows why you would, she had this giant graph behind her proving to the bigots and imbeciles how much better Bush was than Obama at the whole jobs thing. The x-axis, the one that runs along the bottom, if you don't know what a graph is, represented years, and the y-axis, the up and down one, represented the unemployment rate. But the x-axis only showed every other year. 2001, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on, right?
Oh, just skip 8, huh?
Yeah, just skip 8. And in 2007 and 2008, the unemployment rate under Bush was very low. But just months after Obama took office, the rate jumped way, way up. Clearly, Obama is destroying America. Well, golly, does anyone remember anything else besides Barack Obama being terrible that might have happened on Bush's watch, say around December of 2007, that might have accounted for a sudden spike in the unemployment numbers?
This is from the adorable website Federal Reserve History. Quote, the Great Recession. Lasting from December 2007 to June 2009, This economic downturn was the longest since World War II. Beyond its duration, the Great Recession was notably severe in several respects. Real gross domestic product, GDP, fell 4.3% from its peak in the 2007 Q4 to its trough in 2009 Q2, the largest decline in the post-war era, based on data as of October 2013. The unemployment rate, which was 5% in December 2007, rose to 9.5% in June 2009 and peaked at 10% in October 2009. 10%. The financial effects of the Great Recession were similarly outsized. Home prices fell approximately 30% on average from their mid-2006 peak to mid-2009, while the S&P 500 index fell 57% from its October 2007 peak to its trough in March 2009. The net worth of U.S. households and nonprofit organizations fell from a peak of approximately $69 trillion in 2007 to a trough of $55 trillion in 2009. As the financial crisis and recession deepened, measures intended to revive economic growth were implemented on a global basis. The United States, like many other nations, enacted fiscal stimulus programs that used different combinations of government spending and tax cuts. These programs included the Economic Stimulus Act of 2008 and the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. Unquote.
Yeah, and a couple of things. First, you might remember the Biden administration was determined not to make the same mistake because everyone felt after the fact that the Obama administration had underspent. They had not put enough money back into the economy. That's why the recovery was so slow, because they were so very cautious about not doing overkill. And number two, as someone who lost their job and their health care and their condo and their savings during the Great Recession, I was especially infuriated by this bitch pretending it never happened. Yeah. And somehow Barack Obama had just decided out of the clear blue sky to destroy the economy because he's a Democrat. And, Democrats hate America. Because there are hundreds of articles on the Great Recession at the fingertips of anyone who gave a goddamn about the truth. For example, the New York Times had this article, The Recession's Hidden Victims, stories about homeowners who lost their homes, like me, and how families coped with foreclosure.
NPR had a decade later, The Great Recession's Human Costs Linger. Audio stories and written accounts of people still feeling the effects years later, as we did.
Yep, absolutely.
And, it's just there.
The Atlantic had this article, The Lost Decade, What the Great Recession Did to American Families, a deep look at how long-term unemployment reshaped communities and family structures.
These are stories about real families who were evicted or forced to downsize after losing income, workers who lost not just jobs, but their careers and their identity, young adults delaying homeownership, marriage, or kids, communities devastated by factory closures and foreclosures, the long-term damage done to people's mental health and sense of financial security.
Yeah, but all of it, Michele Bachmann and the Tea Party just hand-waved away. Instead, unemployment was all Obama's fault. Then, after that, Bachmann pitched a fit over all the money that Obama was just throwing away for no good reason. Now, the sum and substance of her breezy twaddle was not terribly different from the zombie-eyed granny starvers bitching about, oh my God, Obama's spending so much money when he should be cutting everything. And oh my God, people are begging him to stop spending money. Yeah, people like Paul Ryan and Michele Bachmann.
Yeah.
And oh my God, look at those deficits. Oh my God, where'd those come from? And oh my God, have you seen the unemployment numbers? Under George W., things were never like this.
And this is from her speech that night, quote, "And what did we buy with all that money? A leaner, more efficient government? No, we bought a bureaucracy that tells us which light bulbs to buy and put 16,500 IRS agents in charge of policing President Obama's health care bill. Obamacare mandates and penalties may even force many job creators to just stop offering health insurance altogether. unless, of course, you're one of the more than 222 privileged companies or unions that already received a waiver under Obamacare. In the end, unless we fully repeal Obamacare, a nation that currently enjoys the world's finest health care might be forced to rely on government-run coverage.
Ooh.
And that could have a devastating effect on our national debt for even generations to come. For 2 years, President Obama made promises just like the ones we heard him make this evening. Yet we still have high unemployment, devalued housing prices, and the cost of gasoline is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Unquote.
And Michele Bachmann's party was doing everything they could think of to sabotage anything Obama tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
And undercut him at every step of the way and slander him just like this. And then, of course, came all the golden oldies, all the favorites. Gut that job-destroying EPA. Pass a balanced budget amendment. And drill, baby, drill. Get rid of some unspecified number of regulations which may cost our economy $100 million, Blue Gal. And, of course, Obama should repeal Obamacare immediately and support free market solutions. Like tort reform. And allowing suckers to buy crap insurance out of the back of a van. Of course, then we need to kick all the big spending scum out of government. And this is just the beginning, Blue Gal, because we swept to power in the midterms.
And alert listeners will have noticed by now how neatly Michele Bachmann's Obama ruined everything and Bush was awesome lies from 15 years ago prefigured Trump's Biden ruined everything and I was awesome lies in his speech on Tuesday.
Yeah. You could see it forming right in front of your eyes. If you go back to 2011 Guardian article that we quoted earlier, an alert listener may have also noticed how Michael Steele's blasé attitude towards the fake Tea Party prefigured the downfall of the conservative elite.
All the pieces that would grow at lightning speed into a full-grown fascist threat to American democracy, led by a corrupt, lying sociopath, were already there. Mm-hmm. All you needed to do was look. The pre-MAGA Republican willingness to repeat big, stupid, easily debunked lies, demonizing Democrats as destroying America, casting themselves as the lone saviors of the Republic, and establishment Republicans like Steele not taking the internal threat seriously.
No, everything's fine. Everything's just fine. For the record, later that year, Bachmann would go on to win the 2011 Iowa straw poll. She apparently took this as a sign from Jesus that she should run for president, but Jesus was either busy that day or she got her lines crossed or mixed everything up because she went from possible Republican nominee to cratering in record time.
I think her campaign manager quit right after that.
Yeah, she was not bound for greatness, Blue Cow.
Right.
No.
She got herself elected to another term in the House in 2012, and then she announced her retirement before the 2014 election. And since January 1st, 2021, she has been dean of the Robertson School of Government at Regent University. Because we know you care, we thought you'd like to know that the mission of the Robertson School of Government is to, quote, train the next generation of principled Christian leaders, unquote.
Yay.
And that the Robertson School of Government is named after Marion Gordon Pat Robertson, who Wikipedia charitably describes as an American media mogul, televangelist, political commentator, and the founder of Regent University. So that's what Michele Bachmann is up to these days. It's the circle of life, Driftglass.
Grifters on the right never need to worry about missing a meal, Blue Cow.
No, they won't miss a meal. But she did the right, she did the right thing. This is what Sarah Palin should have done. Yeah. You go to that Crystal Cathedral money, because Crystal Cathedral money is a good dollar. It really is.
It's a great dollar. It's a great dollar. So we've come to the end of the Michele Bachmann portion of our show. and because we know you just desperately wanted to hear about the 2011 State of the Union address in response to it. But we think it demonstrates something very clearly, which is the roots of everything you see now that was spewing off the stage on Tuesday were right there for anybody to pay attention to.
And you've said this many times. Barack Obama getting elected president just broke something.
Oh, it broke their brain.
In white conservative America. And they decided to become full fascist back then.
Yeah. No, this was all happening. It's gone from Comedy Central now, but there was a whole montage from Jon Stewart about fascism has come to America, and we're all fucking doomed, and Obama's going to kill everyone, and he's a tyrant, jackbooted fascist monster from day one, before he was even inaugurated.
Yeah.
So now that we've come to the end of that portion of our show, it's dealer's choice, Blue Gal. Dealer's choice. Yeah. Do you want to talk about Tom Nichols? Our friend of the pod, Tom Nichols.
No, he's
finally admitting in the pages of The Atlantic that we liberals were right all along, without admitting that we exist at all. Or also in The Atlantic, Blue Gal, which you called to my attention,
I did.
Recently former Republican David Frum interviewing recently former Republican Tim Miller on, quote, whether never Trump has veered too far to the left, unquote. And you know what, Blue Gal?
What?
You can read that article from start to finish, and Lord knows I did, and you will never find within it a single actual liberal or progressive or lefty quoted anywhere.
Driftglass drives me home from work, and I found that header. Has the Never Trump movement veered too far to the left by David Frum? And he came and got me out of the car. I handed him my phone with that on it. And he almost threw my phone across the street.
The phone was going to go. I was going to try to hit Lincoln's tomb from that range, which is a hell of a throw if you know the geography.
I reminded him, wait, that's my phone.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, this was just a couple of recently former Republican bros who, thanks to the largesse of the legacy media, let's be very clear about that, now exercise more control over the political narrative than any of those liberals who've been right about the right all along, and who, Atlantic op-ed writer Tom Nichols, cannot bear to admit even exist. So that's one option. Or maybe some further thoughts on Trump's State of the Union. Let's beat that to death. He was cruel. He lied constantly. He made up horror stories about immigrants and trans people. He shrieked at Democrats, blaming them for everything that was wrong in America. He pointed at them and yelled, "You did this. This is your fault. And those people are crazy." Or one might go so far as to call it a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Or it was like Michele Bachmann's deranged 6 minutes of chipper, bug-eyed crazy 15 years ago. Maybe the real story is how both of their speeches depended on conspicuously pretending that the most important crises and scandals facing the country just aren't happening.
Aha!
With Bachmann, it was pretending that the Great Recession never happened. And with Trump, it was pretending that basically everything of importance in the real world was not happening. Our $2,500 a month health insurance wasn't happening.
No.
Prices for everything going up, not down. Inflation going up, not down. The terror regime of Trump and Stephen Miller and Greg Bovino and Tom Homan sending masked ICE goons to terrorize the people of Minneapolis and murder U.S. citizens like Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and sneaking into dorms in New York City to kidnap a student. The billions Trump is spending to build concentration camps all over the country. Don Lemon arrested for doing journalism, bringing us to the brink of war with Iran with no explanation, no oversight, and no hearings. What about the Epstein files? How about the Epstein files? What about the Epstein files?
Yeah. And this story that broke just before Trump unleashed that pack of ugly, stupid, racist lies on Tuesday. From NPR, February 24th, 2026, quote, Justice Department withheld and removed some Epstein files related to Trump. That's a crime. The Justice Department has withheld some Epstein files related to the allegations that President Trump sexually abused a minor, an NPR investigation finds. It also removed some documents from the public database where accusations against Jeffrey Epstein also mentioned Trump. Some files have not been made public despite a law mandating their release, a law which Trump signed 3 months ago. These include what appear to be more than 50 pages of FBI interviews, as well as notes from conversations with a woman who accused Trump of sexual abuse decades ago when she was a minor, unquote. Not a word about any of that. Instead, we get absurd bullshit like this, which we swear was shit he actually said. Quote, we love religion and we love bringing it back, and it's coming back at levels nobody actually thought possible, unquote.
And this, well, it's people praying that he's dead tomorrow morning. That's what all the religion is. And this, quote, would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people, said the Prime Minister of Pakistan, would have died if it were not for my involvement, unquote.
Now, I should just, as an aside, I mentioned, I think on the Bradcast, that I passed out after the first hour because I have a little drinking game where every time he says nobody actually thought possible, levels never seen before, this is impossible, the greatest ever, you do a shot. And by about the first 12 minutes, I was passed out drunk under the table.
Yeah, sure.
And then when you pair this, quote, 100% of all jobs created under my administration have been in the private sector, unquote, with this, thanks to Republicans in Congress, we are investing a record number of dollars, have no choice, in the United States Armed Forces, also creating lots of jobs, unquote. What can you say except compared to this dog's breakfast, Michele Bachmann sounded like Winston fucking Churchill.
Yeah, she did.
And we don't want to conclude this coverage without also mentioning that Abigail Spanberger's response to Trump's hateful garbage was everything Trump's speech was not and defied the low expectations of all such post-State of the Union responses. Spanberger was succinct and powerful, about 13 minutes long, and we would be delighted if every Democrat running for office would use it as a template for their own campaigns. She covered 5 major themes: kitchen table issues like affordability and rural hospitals, which are very big in the red states and very big around here, the naked thuggery of Trump's masked goons running amok in the streets, what an international embarrassment we've become under Trump, the nonstop lying and scapegoating, and the staggering amount of corruption and scandal that Trump is chin deep in every single day.
But Spanberger did more than that. She knit all these themes together, asked after she had covered each one whether Trump was working for you. It's that repetitive thing. And the answer wasn't just no. It was everyone knows the answer. We're in the majority. We all can see it. And then she followed up with talking about winning, not as some future possibility, but as something that has already begun. The outcome is no longer in doubt. The response was actually very hopeful.
Yeah. And you know what? You can tell from like our congressperson, Nikki Baczynski, who 2 years ago, we mentioned this before on this podcast, 2 years ago, she was just a backbencher, mild-mannered, was interested in the farm bill and maybe some sensible gun legislation. And now she's like, Epstein files, burn it all down. This guy's got to go, which is a sign of
impeach Kristi Noem too.
And impeach Kristi Noem. This is a sign of where the center has gotten to.
Yeah, exactly.
So if this is what centrism now looks like, well, sign us up.
Oh no, Driftglass is a centrist now.
Well, eventually the center moved to us,
right?
The center moved to us.
It was about time, right?
Yeah.
Because the Overton window that the right has been pushing everything to the right, including the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again, has finally snapped.
Yeah.
So, it's time for, as I've said in my glued post at Blue Sky, Bosco says, sit tight. The anti-Trump backlash gonna be lit. It
is. And you can see, again, like Abigail Spanberger pointed out, which was very hopeful, you can see signs of it in the midterms, the special elections, in the fact that she's now the governor of her state. I mean, it is very clear that something tectonic is going on in this country. And and that 38%, man, you can hear it scraping
stuck
bottom.
Like a tick, but yeah. And I'm gonna in my voluminous non-existent spare time, we'll be doing some postcards to voters. There's a huge list in Wisconsin to write to for more Supreme Court elections in Wisconsin, which are very, very important. So these off-year elections are so critical.
Well, and I'm doing postcards to voters.
You and I have voted in the Democratic primary.
We already have. I
voted for this guy named J.B. Pritzker, and we're going to do a news roundup. Speaking of him,
no, I'm doing postcards to voters for J.B. Pritzker, and I'm getting $1,000 per postcard. We're going to be rich, baby, rich like Crucius, rich.
Postcards to voters for Pritzker.
Yeah. At least that's what the man said.
Talk
when
about
I signed
a waste of resources.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be, every vote matters and every vote counts.
Yeah, and we're not trying to be cocky, but
we're not trying to be cocky. But at this moment, when we're looking at a Democratic primary for governor, and several Democrats are running unopposed in the primaries, including Pritzker, no one is running You can't run to the left of Pritzker, first of all, really.
No.
And everybody pretty much knows how he's sliding to a run to the White House. So,
and if you watch local commercials, the little primary for Republicans, you know, there's the guy going, you know, who are J.B. Pritzker's people? All the immigrants he personally led into the country to murder everyone. And this guy's like running as an explicitly Trump Republican.
He says Trump conservative, pro-Trump conservative.
And the joke between us is that, you know who's paying for that campaign? J.B. Pritzker's paying for that campaign. He's not.
It does smell like a Pritzker ad.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
He is so conservative. Oh, I'm scared. I'm very scared. Anyway, let's do a news roundup.
We want to do a news roundup, and this week we're focused on Illinois news.
Yep.
And our governor, in one respect, from the Chicago Sun-Times, February 20th, 2026, quote, Pritzker demands $8.6 billion for Illinois residents after Supreme Court strikes Trump tariffs. Pritzker, a longtime and frequent critic of Donald Trump, also called out the president during his State of the State address. That's Pritzker's State of the State address earlier this week. Governor J.B. Pritzker demanded an $8.6 billion refund for Illinois residents from President Donald Trump on Friday, after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the White House's broad array of foreign tariffs. In an open letter to Trump, Pritzker decried the tariffs that wreaked havoc on farmers, enraged our allies, and sent grocery prices through the roof. 2 of the 3 justices appointed by Trump joined in the Supreme Court's 6-3 decision that the president's tariffs breached taxing powers that are constitutionally reserved for Congress. On behalf of the people of Illinois, I demand a refund of $1,700 for every family in Illinois, Pritzker wrote. There are 5,105,448 households in my state, bringing the total damages you owe to $679 million. I got to read this number again. It's so big. $8,679,261,600.
And 24 cents.
The letter was publicized by Pritzker's campaign as the billionaire Democrat runs for a 3rd term as governor. He gonna win. And is widely considered a 2028 presidential contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think so too.
We think, and you know, just wait. You know, there's a lot of flashy things going on, but Pritzker, you know, Pritzker just keeps making news. You know, there's always a flurry of, you know, I wish Democrats would do. Oh, Pritzker did something. Why aren't Democrats fighting? Oh, Pritzker did something. Oh my God, look what he's doing. Oh my God, he's really good on this issue. And then they move over to Gavin Newsom or some other story. But he's just sort of steadily establishing himself as a very serious, well-funded, and liberal candidate for president.
Unapologetic progressive. Yeah. Absolutely. You can, and I think we need to say this again, Driftglass. Many progressives, including the 2 of us, sort of held our nose and voted for him the first time.
Yes, billionaire.
Knowing that we were going to have a Democratic governor. We weren't excited about having a billionaire governor again.
Nope.
Because Rauner was such a disaster as a billionaire governor. Mm-hmm. But we're like, you can't run in Illinois and you can't win in Chicago without having $1 billion at your disposal. So, all right, we'll accept that we want a Democrat after Rauner, so we're going to do it. And Pritzker has turned out to be so pro-union, so pro-working class people, so pro-women, so pro-trans people. He is a true progressive. You can trust that from me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really just endorse him for president wholeheartedly. He's got a long road to hoe on that.
Yep.
It's not going to be easy to win the Democratic primary, but in terms of winning over the base, the progressive base of the party, he's the real deal, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Take it from somebody who lives in his state. He is the real deal.
Take it from someone who lived in his state, whose household was split between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
You know,
because kids went in different directions that way.
Yeah. And then we do what we always do, because we're not toddlers. We voted for the Democratic candidate, even the ones that we were not thrilled about, because the alternative, well, you see what the alternative is. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of elections, finally, from all things Chicago, the election results we know you all have been waiting for. And the wait is over. Quote, a push to name one of Chicago's snowplows abolish ICE, clearly linking the humorous pun to efforts to oppose President Donald Trump's mass deportation effort, won the city's annual snowplow naming contest, officials announced. The other winners of the fourth annual contest were Stephen Coldbear, Pope Frio XIV, the Blizzard of Oz, and I love this one, Sven Cooley. You got to be from here to know about that.
Sven Cooley, yes.
Sven Cooley, and Caleb Chilliams. So awesome. These were Chicago's official winners, which were announced. One snowplow in each of Chicago's 6 snow districts will be named in honor of the winners, unquote. Yay! Democracy at work, Blue Gal. Democracy at work.
So make sure if you're traveling in Chicago, you peek around to see if you see the Abolish ICE snowplow.
Yes.
Make sure you take a selfie with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Each week we post to our Patreon page and website an Internet Kitty sent in by you, the listeners. This week's Internet Kitty is Princess Leia, who is a very fluffy princess indeed. I'm not going to say she looks like an Ewok because that would be inappropriate.
Don't do it, Blue Gal.
Don't do it. And of course, Her Majesty only eats freshly poured cat food, our fake sponsor. Whether you serve Pet Store Perfection or Dollar Store Drek, your cat will sit in the passenger seat of the Millennium Falcon, a.k.a. your kitchen floor, and demand that the food they eat is only freshly poured. Freshly poured, freshly poured. Oh, my Lord, it's freshly poured. And you can visit Princess Leia at our Patreon page, patreon.com/proleftpod, or our website, proleftpod.com. And you can send your Internet Kitty, dog, or other pet to us at our email address, proleftpodcast@gmail.com, where you can also write to both of us. Feel free to write us. We love hearing from you. Be aware that if you write to us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service. Go Postal Unions! And they are on the streets, by the way, right now.
Right. They're doing contract negotiations. We are with you.
Mm-hmm. Let her on the air unless you say otherwise.
Once again, many thanks to the Bradcast, the crazy crew at Bradcast, and to Bob Cesca for hosting me on Wednesday, for having me over to their place. I just couldn't feel more welcome. The conversation was delightful. And I tell you the truth, people, the post-show conversation when the microphones go off are awesome. They are. We let our hair down. I don't have much to let down, but I virtually do. There's a lot of Star Trek discussed with Mr. Cesca, a lot of politics, a lot of deep cuts from our political past. And it's just a good time was had by all. And really, in these very dark times, having good company like that, and I hope that's what we give to our people as well, it makes a huge amount of difference in your sense of well-being and mental health. This is also a friendly reminder about our gourmet coffee guidelines. If you're able to treat yourself to an espresso-based beverage, we ask you consider treating us to one as well. This is, in fact, not our charity. It's how we support the work we do. If you can spare $5 a month or more, we'd be very grateful for your support at patreon.com/proleftpod or Venmo, and then look for the Professional Left Podcast out on Venmo. Please help us continue to grow also by doing something for free, which is sharing our show on social media. Spread it around. If you love this podcast, introduce it to a friend. We think they'll love it too. And thank you so much for helping us keep all of this going.
Hey, Driftglass, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Blue Gal, when they cough up a hairball, at least the Internet Kitties have the decency not to call it a State of the Union address.
Let's think about living. Let's think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the bopping and the lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the whine and the crying, the shooting and the dying, and the fellow with a switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left Podcast is produced and recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright DGBG Productions. Proleftpod.com.